because I'm focused on my friends on Instagram. But ready or not, here we are, and let's have some fun. This young man right next to me happens to be wearing my favorite mask, which says "Make America Italian Again." He's also a very funny radio personality. So let's say hello to Jerry Fiore from the Bumpskey Show. He's here with us tonight, live from my mother's basement. Hey, Jerry, thanks so much for coming down to the basement. You may now take off your Make America Italian Again mask.
Yay!
Sorry about that.
That's the first real mask I think I've worn since the pandemic. I've been doing all those, fold the bandana, put the rubber
is that
bands.
right? Yeah.
I've been doing all that. So, very beautiful mask. I'm actually going to get a couple of these, one for my dad and a couple of shirts and stuff. So go to MikeMarino.net.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna walk away with some Mike Marino memorabilia.
That's right.
Which is really, really cool.
That's right, man. Everybody's got to have it, man. Everybody wants to be Italian.
I appreciate that. You know, we met on the internet, and
not Tinder.
Not Tinder. And you were liking some of my work, and I appreciate that. And I saw what you were doing. So Jerry had me on his show. I guess it was last week.
Yep, Friday night.
The Bumpskey Show. We had a lot of fun. And I says, well, if you got nothing to do on Monday night, why don't you come down to the real basement and hang out with yours truly. We'll catch up. We'll talk a little bit and see what's what out there in the world. So I thank you for driving through this 105-degree weather to come all the way down to the basement and hang out with myself.
Well, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate you telling Vinny to put the bat away.
Do you know, if you want to speak about bats, now you're Italian, I don't think you had to be Italian to have a baseball bat in your house. It might have been a Jersey thing, it could have been a New York thing, maybe it's a Boston, Chicago thing. When I was 16 years old and I had my first car, which was a 1967 Mustang, my father said to me, who did not buy the car for me, kids, I had to buy the car myself, $600, piece of shit, dents all over it, rust. Remember rust?
Oh, yeah.
Used to be rust on cars. You don't see any rust anymore.
Plastic can't rust.
Yeah, well, you're right. Okay. One of the first things your father says to you is, you need some protection. And he hands you a baseball bat. So I had a baseball bat in my car my entire life. Now, if you walk around this house, and we'll walk around this house later when we're done with the broadcast, you'll see there's a baseball bat in every corner of the house, especially behind the front door and the back door. That's called, watch what you're doing, I'm carrying.
Well, when I was a kid, we used to go to bat day at Yankee Stadium because they used to give you a real bat. And that was my protection. I stuck the Yankee bat in my car. Now they give you those little fake bats, but back in the good old days, they used to give you an actual baseball bat.
I wonder why we don't see any people writing in. Usually tons of people writing in at this particular moment. I don't see anything.
Hey, guys.
Where did it go?
Looks like we got some people there. So say something. Say hi, somebody.
Somebody write in. I'm testing the market over here. Something don't look right.
Uh-oh. We got people over there. What
I know. This is the Instagram link. A lot of people writing in on Instagram.
Hey, Facebook people.
Yeah, that's
say
kind of
hi.
strange. All right, doesn't matter. Oh, there we go. Still in the car. There you go. Hey, Mike, how you doing? There you go. Watch them up. I'll pop them up. Stay safe over there. All right, Australia. See, I love when people write in from different parts of the country. There's my friend Cam. There's my friend Eddie. Eddie, I can't answer the phone while we're broadcasting, but thank you very much. Roxanne, how are you? Okay, everybody. There you go. There's everybody. So we're talking about this thing about having a baseball bat in your car. Now, if you think about it, what's going on in the world, it kind of almost makes sense because there can be some crazy people come walking down the street. What are you going to do?
Got to do something.
You got to protect yourself, I think.
Yeah.
Which is a sore subject now. You're not supposed to protect yourself. What are you supposed to do? Let somebody just beat the shit out of you and say, oh, I deserved it?
Yeah, no.
No. Wrong neighborhood.
And, if you are a protester, man, make sure you don't go up to an Italian. Because I saw in Austin, Texas, this guy went up to a car with a rifle and he got his ass shot and killed. So you don't want to be doing that. So make sure whoever you're approaching isn't going to fight back. All right? That's a hint for the protesters out there.
Well, there's people who protest and there's people who do the right thing, and then there's people who like to just cause trouble. Now, I'm sure if I was a lot younger, I might be one of those troublemakers in the street. But I'm not one of those guys anymore. I became a comedian, and I'm doing a podcast. And on my podcast is Jerry Fiore, who just happens to be Italian too. And he decided he'd come down the basement because this is the way we grew up. We grew up in the basement, hanging out, enjoying our family. Because quite honestly, when you think about it, the basement's made of brick, cement. You ain't getting in.
No. And no matter how much noise you make in the basement, your parents can't hear you. So it's not like going to your room.
Yeah.
It's all cinder block. They ain't going to hear anything. We used to go in the basement. We used to blare Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, play poker, drink beer, and other stuff.
But we're going to talk about the other stuff. We don't have to hide anything on this show. Unless you have something to hide and you don't want my friends to know.
I got nothing to hide.
Look at Holly. I got a crowbar. Well, good for you, Holly. I'll see you this week. In fact, Holly's writing in from Florida, and we have a question.
Oh, yeah,
Here's the question that if anybody would like to answer, please do. Now, I have a week of shows to do in Florida this week. I have to fly to Florida on the 29th. I'm going to be at Fasani's Comedy Theater in Port Charlotte, or Punta Gorda, whatever you guys want to call it. Should I fly in or should I drive from New Jersey? I have a flight. It was only $100, round-trip ticket. Fly in on Wednesday, fly out on Sunday. But some people are starting to tell me I might be asked all kinds of questions when I get on the plane. And do you quarantine? Don't you quarantine? What's the difference? Now, when I come back to New Jersey, I don't mind quarantining. I'll be here in the basement, no problem. But if I fly in, do I have to quarantine in Florida? What is the actual situation? And does anybody really know the answer? And if you really know the answer, you could put it right here, or you could DM me and I'll read it later on.
I don't really know the answer, but I got an answer for you. I would just, if they say you got to quarantine, I would say, okay, I'm staying on the plane.
Yeah.
Just go back to Jersey.
Yeah.
Just
fly me back and forth for 14 days.
You could do your show on the plane. It's better than a cruise ship. Nobody can go anywhere. You're stuck on the plane.
Kanye West most likely to become president than me. Well, I'll vote for him. Thank you very much for saying that. I really appreciate that. Nothing like a little talent in the White House anyway. I think that would be fantastic. Talent in the way of singing, telling jokes, and doing some dancing.
Yep, and he knows all about the Kardashians, so it'll be better than Trump's niece writing a book.
Right. So Jerry comes down to the basement, and Jerry's in the entertainment business as well. So how long you been doing your show? And if anybody else out there wants to watch and listen to his show, it's the Bumpskey.com. The Bumpskey.com. Tell us about your show.
Sure. We started 20 years ago. The concept was all my friends were in bands, and they were like, listen, Jerry, we go home, we smell a beer, our wives think we're having a great time, and we're busting our asses, and we go home with $25. So I was like, how can I help you? They were like, well, we need to be played on the radio. So I was a computer guy. This was 1999. And I was like, listen, dudes, I can play you around the world. And they were like, no, Jerry, we just want to be on college radio. You can't play us around the world. And I was like, sure I can. I put in a high-speed phone line into my condo. We started broadcasting September 26th of 2000. So we're coming up on our 20th anniversary. And I was one of the first people broadcasting on the internet. And I'm still doing it.
I have to laugh if you don't mind.
Sure.
I like when people write into the show. They say funny things, okay? I don't even know what this guy's name is. SH3 Love whatever. But come on, man. The guy, he already wrote in 3 different things. He's funny as shit. The guy with the bandana has definitely thought of being gay at least once.
Thank you.
Come on, man. That is hilarious.
I appreciate that. It's probably been more than one time. Yeah, no, unfortunately, I'm not gay. I'd probably be better off if I was. I got 2 wives. I got 2 kids. I probably should have been gay, but nah, I'm sorry. But if you want to hook up, send me an instant message.
Nah.
I'll think about it.
Not that we got anything against it. I think it's fantastic.
Nah.
It's just not something that we have in our DNA.
Yeah, I like an innie, not an outie. Sorry.
So he's got his own podcast, your show, before they probably had the word podcast, right?
Yes, before podcast, yep.
And now it's called a podcast. Now it's called a live stream. Now it's called Ustream, Gonna Stream, Tic Tac.
Yeah, we weren't even a podcast. We were a live broadcast, just like a radio show. And we also did a live broadcast from the Acme Underground where we broadcasted bands. And usually it was 7 shitty bands every Saturday night. But the concept of New York City in any club, as you know as a comedian, as long as you could put asses in the seat, you're playing there. So if you went up on stage and farted for an hour, as long as you brought 50 people who drank, you were the show for the night. They didn't give a shit. In fact, I do have a story where Aretha Franklin's son showed up one night, and I couldn't even get him on stage because the manager said, how many people did he bring? And I said, he's from Detroit, Michigan. It's Aretha Franklin's son. You know, how many people does he need to bring? He's like, oh, he didn't bring 20 people. He's not going on. So he never went on.
You know what? So many times nowadays when you do a show, you have to be selling tickets. Of course, we're not selling tickets right now because you can't do any live performances, but there was a time, I guess about 6 months ago, if you didn't put asses in the seats, they didn't need you, which is understandable. You got to understand that.
It's a business.
Real quick, we're doing a shout out right now. Scotty Schwartz is writing into the show. Scott, I hope you're still watching. I know you got to go, but I was talking about you. Either it was this afternoon, maybe it was on your show, but I was talking about the great Scotty Schwartz, who's been in a lot of movies. He was a major child star. I was always on the bus with him riding from Jersey to New York. He was in the movie The Toy. If anybody remembers the movie The Toy.
Richard Pryor.
With Richard Pryor and Jackie Gleason. Fantastic movie, tearjerker, very sad, sweet, funny, enjoyable, lovable. And then he went on to do a lot of different TV shows, a lot of movies, but he was the most famous in my mind when he had his tongue stuck to the pole in A Christmas Story. You guys remember that character?
Yep.
I'm here, brother. Thank you, Scotty. Scotty, what was the name of your character in the movie A Christmas Story? Was it Christmas Story or Christmas Carol?
Was it Wally or something? Or?
No. Well, anyway, Francis Cisco wants to know if Jerry has family in Westerly, Rhode Island.
Westerly, Rhode Island. It is a possibility. My grandfather came here from Italy when he was 13 years old. He was an orphan. So we're really not sure of who the family is. But Fiore is a popular name in Italy. It's kind of like Jones. But it's possible.
Francis Cisco is an actor and a talent and a comedian, singer. We're yet to do some work together. Francis, I'm so sorry I never had a chance to get back to you about doing some stuff. But this pandemic and this not being able to earn a living is really driving everybody crazy. And I haven't really been on point. But I'm glad that you're writing in and you're asking my guests some questions. And A Christmas Story. So, yes, Flick. He played Flick on A Christmas Story. Stuck his tongue to the pipe. Now, I actually know how they actually did that. That's a weird way to say I actually know. But I'm so excited. Look at this guy. He has that question. Do I have any piercings near my genitals?
Is this the same?
No, it's the same
guy.
Yeah, I don't think he is, but he's just being funny. No, I never pierced anything.
Yeah, no.
It's not my thing.
We're Italian. We don't do shit
I didn't even
like
do my ear.
Yeah, no.
So Flick was the name of Scotty Schwartz's character on A Christmas Story. And Scott Stryker saying Ralphie, but it wasn't Ralphie. It was Flick. And Francis is saying he's from Calabria. And everybody writing into the show is having some fun. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Hi, Mike. Saw your father last night at the Dance 2000 recital. Yes. My father went to go watch a bunch of kids dance in the center of town. It was
Very
fantastic.
nice.
I was there for 8.2 minutes, and I had to go because I couldn't take much more. The little kids dance. No, I actually was there for a good 20 minutes, and I was watching everybody because I support young talent.
Which is
Anyway,
a good thing. Which is
yeah.
good. I'd like to see the Rolling Stones do that. Me being a music guy with a music show, I've always said, Paul McCartney, the Rolling Stones, they could kick out $100 million and help some starting musicians. I mean, rock and roll is dying. We need someone to save it. So,
Well, who knows? Maybe when this whole thing's over, we can get back to doing some live performances. I don't think there's anything better than a live performance. It's weird that I'm sexually attracted to my dog.
what kind of dog is it?
That's not me. That's what he's saying.
But it might not be that
I gotta
weird.
say that's kind of weird. Hey, good for you, man.
Hey, I don't know if you could put that on the internet, dude. They'll come after you now. You can't even goof around about stuff like that.
You can goof around. Speaking of old school and entertaining and the way things used to be, since I came home to New Jersey, I've been going through archives of things that my mother collected that I sent home when I first went to California. So I would always write, because if you remember, back in the day, let's say 80s, 90s, you didn't have a cell phone, you didn't have instant messaging, you didn't have Facebook, you didn't have Instagram, you had to long distance call.
Jesus, you're old, Mike.
Right, I'm very old. And a long distance phone call would cost you a ton of money. I used to call collect.
You used to do that too and ask for yourself? So your mom knew you were okay?
Yes.
Is Jerry Fiore there? No, he's not there. Hey, Jerry, how's it going? Okay. All right, see you later.
I'm good, bye. You're getting a collect call from Michael Marino Jr. Do you accept the charges? And my mother would say no. Then we'd hang up. Then she'd call me back, because that was the cue to call. Because if you said yes, you got charged, I think, $1.
Right.
Now, back at that time, you could be on the phone for 20 minutes and you're looking at 60, 70 bucks.
Yep.
So if you called twice a week, you're costing your family $300, $400 a month to stay on the phone, right?
Yep. They could have flown out to see you.
You could have flown. Now you can fly. It's a $100 round trip ticket to go to Florida.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So it was outrageous to do this, and you'd spend a ton of money. So I used to write to my mother all the time, and I would send her these cards. And the cards would tell her where I was, what I was doing, and so on and so forth. So she kept them. And I've been going through the archives and I've been looking at all this stuff. And what she kept was, I used to wait tables too. And I waited on all these celebrities. And I would keep the place cards. So I got Sidney Poitier, Sean Connery, Kirk Douglas, the ambassador of France. I even had Ronald Reagan.
Very cool.
And so I found one today, and I'm going to share this with you live on the show. Watch this. Okay? For some reason or other, there was a napkin at the table. This is a napkin, and here's the letter and the envelope. The letter and the envelope from this particular guy that I was waiting the table at. But it wasn't like it was private parties. You know, when you work for a catering company, and you have to do glove service, and you do all this high-end bullshit. It takes them forever to eat. I remember Italian service. Throw me the fucking meatball sandwich. But they had this. So here's the letter. Dear Mom, mind you, this is 1990. Dear Mom, this is the envelope that had the $100 tip that I got from Doc Severinsen.
Wow.
Doc Severinsen. That's his address on the back. That's his cocktail napkin inside. Okay, so that's what it is. This is Doc Severinsen's cocktail napkin.
Dun, 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 dun,
And Doc Severinsen tipped me $100. And this is where we were. 2807 Nichols Canyon Road, Los Angeles. With thanks. Oh, I was waiting tables at his house.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
that's where we were.
And $100 back then, that was good money.
It's $100. Isn't that something? Cool story, right?
Yeah, no, that's very cool. And Doc Severinsen, he seemed like a cool guy.
I don't remember exactly. Now, he was a trumpet player, right?
He was the band leader and a trumpet player, and he dressed a little wild. He might have been a little gay, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, we'll have
Since
to ask
we're-
our buddy
yeah,
that
since
keeps
we're
writing
calling
into
out,
the show.
Yeah, since we're calling out gay people, he might have been a little bit.
But, well, I really don't know. But
Nope.
what a great memory for a young actor, comedian, pursuing a career in Los Angeles. And what do you get? $100 from Doc Severinsen. And the first thing you do is you go home and put it in an envelope. You mail it to your mother, and 30 years later, you find it. And
Who'd have thought that, man,
I got
right?
a ton of these things. That's
really cool of your mom that she saved all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
The first Feast of San Gennaro in Los Angeles was 2004, and I was the host. This is when I first met Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla. And we were all hosting these big Italian festivals that no longer exist out there anymore. That kind of changed. But I got to be on the show with a lot of really cool fellow Italians at the time, and being on stage with all these great entertainers. So what's like your experience with some, let's say, celebrities and being on stage with them?
Oh, I got a celebrity story for you. One time, I decided to go to the Big Man's West. down in Red Bank because I heard Bruce Springsteen hangs out there. So this was a week after Nebraska was released. And Big Man's West had an old man's bar up front and a rock lounge in the back. And the guy who sings On the Up Escalator, which was a Bruce Springsteen song, was playing. So I was like, Bruce is going to be there. So I go there. There's this really shitty band. I tell my friends, listen, I'm going to the old man's bar. I can't take it. So I go to the old man's bar. There's two guys sitting in the corner. I'm like, that's fucking Bruce Springsteen and Clarence Clemens. So I walk up to them. I'm like, hey, guys, how's it going? And this is, 1980? Nebraska came out? I guess 1980. So I go, hey, what's going? Can I buy you a beer? And Clarence goes, yeah, Heineken. So, and I talked to a guy. He said, yeah, that sounds like Clarence to me. A guy that knew Clarence. So anyway, so I talked to him a little bit. Everybody comes out of the rock bar. It gets packed. So the next week I go back with a bunch of girls because I want to impress my girlfriend. So it's Clarence Clemens' birthday. So I know Bruce is going to be there. So I walk in. Bruce drives up in a 64 Rambler all by himself, gets out of the car, comes into the bar. I go up to him. 4 guys grab me. I'm like, whoa, I met Bruce last week. It's cool. Bruce sees me. He goes, yeah, I know that guy. Let him in. So I go up to Bruce. I go, Bruce, you see that girl over there? And I was dating a redhead back then. I didn't know Bruce liked redheads. I go, listen, will you go over to him and say hi? So Bruce goes over, takes her, dips her, tongue kisses her, comes back to me and goes, how was that? I go, you fuck. And that was my experience with Bruce Springsteen.
Too bad we can't get him on the show. You could ask him that question all over again, like what was that all about?
Yeah, I'd love to get Bruce on the show, man. That would be great. Bruce, if you're watching, we're a bunch of Jersey guys. How about throwing us a bone?
Well, we all have Bruce Springsteen stories, and I remember there was a time at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles when a friend of mine came backstage and he said, dude, Bruce Springsteen's in front. He wants to say hello to you. He said he's a big fan. And I go, Bruce Springsteen wants to say hello to me. And he goes, yeah. And I go, let me ask you a question. You look a little smaller than the real Bruce. And he said, yeah. And I go, that's Nils Lofgren. Because Nils Lofgren is a Mike Marino fan.
Oh, cool.
And then I got to do a lot of shows with the E Street Band, but I never met Bruce until about 4 years ago when I was the host of Light of Day Music Festival
cool.
at the Paramount Theater in Asbury Park. And yours truly got to say, ladies and gentlemen, coming to the stage, Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. But by the time I said that, they were screaming so loud you heard this.
Oh, man.
But that was pretty much it. I did get to meet Clarence Clemens, and I did a few shows with Clarence Clemens' son, Nick Clemens.
I had Nick on my show.
Yeah, great guy.
Yep.
Bruce Juice is in New Jersey as Marino Marinara. That is hilarious. Thank you for saying that, Brian Figueroa. I really appreciate that.
I got a California experience for you. One time I was at the farmer's market outside of CBS, and Robert Wagner is buying a bird at a pet store. And I'm with my mother and my uncle, and my mother wants a picture with Robert Wagner. This is in the 70s. So I didn't know who it was. So I saw him first. I'm like, oh, that guy must be an actor. Everybody's going over to him. He was buying a bird for Natalie Wood. So I heard him say to the woman, listen, I'm buying a bird for my wife. I'm starting to get mugged. I got to get out of here. So what does my mom do? She starts chasing him through the parking lot, handed me a camera, telling me to run in front of him. She's going to run behind him and stick her head over his shoulder. And she wants me to take a picture of Robert Wagner running through the parking lot. We didn't get that picture.
You know, there's a story, too. It kind of makes you wonder what the real story is with Robert Wagner and Natalie Wood.
Natalie Wood, yeah.
That's old Hollywood, legendary people. You never know what's going to go on, but maybe they'll make a movie about it someday if they haven't already done it. And it's funny, as soon as you said Robert Wagner, I'm thinking Robert Blake, Bird.
Yeah.
So there's the trivia.
Freddie,
there goes that answer. Uh-oh, can't take that phone call.
Sorry, police. Call back later.
There's our buddy. All right, well, I'm going to go. All right, well, we can't say that on this show. All right, great.
Have
you guys
fun.
remember Beretta?
Yes.
Beretta's
Excellent show.
a great old school show. Robert Blake, he was like the biggest star back in the day. Everybody wanted to act like Beretta.
I always wanted to be Rooster.
Right.
That's who I wanted to be. You got all the girls. He had the nice car. He had the nice clothes. Robert Beretta was a mess.
Yeah. Then he became a real mess.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Is he even alive anymore, Robert Blake?
I think he is, man. I don't know. He might be dead. It's hard to keep up with everybody dying. Unfortunately, Regis this week.
Oh.
Regis was great. Funny dude. Olivia de Havilland from Gone with the Wind, 104 years old. Regis, 89. All had good lives, so God bless them.
Yeah.
You know how you know you're getting old? When your first pot dealer dies. My first pot dealer died a month ago.
Oh, no.
And it made me feel, he was a young guy, too. He had a heart attack and then he died. But that's how you know you're getting old, when your pot dealers start dying.
You know, it's really sad about Regis Philbin.
Yeah.
I remember growing up watching Regis Philbin and Kathy Lee. That was the greatest
Yep,
show.
it sure was.
They made you laugh all the time. He was such a silly man, and he did live performance too.
He was real. He didn't. You could tell he wasn't a phony. I posted the thing on Facebook today where he had Motley Crue on. He had him roll out a piano and he played Old MacDonald trying to get into Motley Crue. He was trying to audition for Motley Crue by playing Old MacDonald to him.
Yeah, Regis Philbin, what a great show. I think a lot of those shows was, a lot more fun to watch than some of the shows that you see today. But
Yeah.
I guess I'm just showing my age.
Yeah.
And that's why I was talking about old school, new school, and the way things used to be. So who's your favorite rock artist? Because not that I'm from New Jersey, but I love Bruce Springsteen and I love John Bon Jovi. I love the Beatles, but
I didn't become a Bruce fan until I saw him at No Nukes in 1979. My brother was talking about Bruce Springsteen for years, but when I grew up in Bergenfield, you were either into the Grateful Dead or Led Zeppelin. It was the early 70s. I was a Pink Floyd guy, so everybody thought that I was just some psychedelic drug dude and pretty much didn't come near me.
Right.
But I was a Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Bruce, Kansas. So I was all over the place. My dad listened to all kinds of music, so he kind of trained me to listen to everything. I like Sinatra. I like everything. So that's why my show, I play all different kinds of music.
I guess I forgot that. Being from New Jersey, we also have another Jersey guy that we love, and that's Frank Sinatra.
Yep, Frankie.
Right over there in Hoboken.
Yep.
And old Blue Eyes. I remember my mother used to tell me all the time about going to see Frank, and they had seats, and he walked by, and she could smell his cologne. Never really had a conversation with him, but I had some friends who always said that they got to meet him. And then I know a couple of singers who opened for him, a couple of comedians who opened for him. But Bruce Springsteen, to me, is the guy who could probably save what's going on in the world today. He should come back out and cut an album. And
Right on Mike's show, Bruce.
yeah.
Cut the album on Mike's show. He'll have you here for a week. You can
Bruce
do the whole-
Springsteen, live from my mother's basement.
How great would that be? What about comedy? Who was your favorite comedians growing up?
Well, back in the day when I didn't want to be a comedian until I was 30 years old, I used to love to watch Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield, to me, was one of the best performers. He had that incredible rhythm. I had one of his original albums, and of course, Richard Pryor. But I used to imitate Rodney Dangerfield, and who am I thinking of? The ponytail.
George
Carlin.
For me, when I was young, when I'm talking like 10 years old, like that, it was Martin and Lewis.
Yeah.
Martin and Lewis, another Jersey guy, Jerry Lewis, right? Was
Jerry
he from
Lewis.
Newark?
Yeah.
Genius for me. And then Jerry Lewis, I still thought he was funny on his own too. He was a good guy.
A lot of great talent comes out of the state of New Jersey.
True.
And, of course, New York. I guess we live a little bit harder because one of the funniest comedians also from New Jersey was Lou Costello.
Yep,
Lou Costello, Jerry Lewis. Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, of course, had the greatest comedy singing team. And all these years later, I find myself on tour with Dina Martin, who's Dean Martin's daughter, creating Clearwater Revival, Bill
Awesome.
Cosby, Cheech and Chong. I like the people
Chong,
writing
yeah.
in, see all these answers. Bill Cosby. Of course, Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was one of the funniest guys alive. You really got to give him his due. And if you remember watching that TV show, Fat Albert was hilarious.
Fat Albert was great.
Andrew Dice Clay.
Heba wubba heba.
Yeah.
Heba Micah wubba.
Damn, you're kind of famous. Who is? Oh, well, yeah. Thank you very much. That's our buddy over there. Andrew Dice Clay was great. Still is great.
Yeah, he
Abbott and
still is.
Costello. A lot of great entertainers.
That's true.
Here's a tribute to a guy who I used to do stand-up with all the time. I wanted to mention this on the show. This is James Price, comedian James Price. And James was in a lot of shows with me. I sent his 8x10 home to my mom so that she could see what James looked like. And unfortunately, James passed away about 6 years ago. He's no longer with us. But check your health, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not feeling so good, whether it's COVID-19 symptoms or any kind of symptoms, go see the doctor. Because as a struggling artist, James Price couldn't afford health insurance. So he was afraid to go to a clinic. He was afraid to tell anybody that he wasn't feeling good. But if he had, he may have been with us today. And I mean, I know maybe you could attest to this, that not everybody's fortunate enough to afford health insurance, but there's got to be a way, let them wait for your money.
I'm a guy, I didn't have health insurance for 30 years.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, I got a job last year that offered health insurance. I just started going to the doctor. And just if you do go to a doctor, make sure you like the doctor, and I got to get a new doctor. I don't like my doctor.
Right.
He's bugging me out.
Wow.
I went there, he gave me cholesterol pills and high blood pressure pills. And then I went for a colonoscopy. They okayed it, the insurance company, then they didn't pay the doctor. So they cut off my prescriptions until I called the insurance company. So for 3 weeks, I went out without high blood pressure pills. So now I'm shaking like a leaf over here. So I don't know if that affected me. So if you do go to a doctor, just make sure you like them. You can work with them and be honest with them. Like, I go to the doctor and the doctor's like, do you smoke? And I go, yeah, like a chimney, man. I smoke like crazy. So,
cigarettes?
No.
Weed. He meant cigarettes.
Cigarettes.
But yeah, listen, if you're not feeling good, you got to get checked, because if he had gotten checked, he would have beat what he had.
And be honest.
And he had a mass in his leg for a long, long time. When they found out it was cancer, it went through his entire body. He was gone in 3 months.
Wow. Yeah, no.
But I just wanted to mention him on the show because he was a great comedian. And right now, look at all the comedians that are being mentioned. Abbott and Costello, Laurel and Hardy, the Three Stooges, Vic DiBitetto, another comedian from New York, New Jersey, who's kicking some serious ass. He's actually a good friend of mine. We used to do a lot of shows together. I hope to do some shows with him again. The Little Rascals, the Flintstones, they were comedy teams.
Awesome, yep, awesome. We got to get you guys to do a show in the Bumpskey Theater. We'll have to talk about that later.
Well, I think I'll do a show in the Bumpskey Theater, and maybe we'll get Vic to come down. We'll get a bunch of people to come down. But comedy should be essential now. The owner of the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles always says that comedians are doctors of the soul. We can actually make you forget about your problems, at least for a little while, by making you laugh, making you smile, making you enjoy, and showing you where you can go find some comedy. I always tell people, if you're in a bad mood and you need to find some comedy, now's a good time to take out your weed. We'll talk about that. You can actually go to places like Walmart, Costco. You can go to the 7-Eleven, the CVS store. You can find comedy wherever you go. Just stand there, take a look, and laugh. You don't have to talk to nobody. Matter of fact, you're better off that you don't. Remember the Rascals? I think I was in Long Branch. We all used to go. Oh, yes. Spanky McFarland owned the club in Long Branch, and it was called Spanky's.
I remember Spanky's.
So there you go. Somebody just mentioned that. Thank you so much, Jacqueline.
Was he from New Jersey?
He might have been, but they filmed the Little Rascals all out in Hollywood, and I think everybody was from different places.
Yeah.
Sam Kinnison, yes, that's the name we need to mention. You go look like Sam Kinnison.
I do.
This is Sam Kinnison right here.
Sam was great, man. Sam took preaching into comedy and music too. Sam was into music. One time I saw Sam at the Nassau Coliseum, and he used to do the skit where he'd get someone from the audience, and he'd go, what's going on in your life? And, this guy said his girlfriend broke up with him. On the stage at Nassau Coliseum, he called the guy's girlfriend and had everybody in the audience call her a bitch and a slut. And it was 20,000 people yelling shit at this girl over the phone. It was the funniest bit I ever saw.
Sam Kinnison was something else, man. Gone way too young.
Yeah. And you would have thought he would have killed himself, but Somebody else killed him.
He was actually roommates with Andrew Dice Clay when they both went out to Los Angeles to cut their teeth as entertainers. And so what I ended up doing is a long time ago when they were doing marijuana as a medical marijuana because you had a problem. I used to do jokes about that too because you would walk into this place and you would see a doctor and that doctor would say to you, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Well, I need some marijuana." They say you have to have an ailment. What is your ailment? Why do you need this marijuana? I said, "My big toe hurts." And they gave me weed for 2 years and now I can no longer feel my feet.
But that's a good thing. It doesn't hurt anymore.
And all these years later, you can have this legally. Well, I don't know about New Jersey, but in California, you walk into a weed store, it is fun. It's just like going to a CVS. You pick out what you want. You want something to make you laugh. You want something to make you sleep. You want something that makes you hungry. You don't want to be hungry.
In the couch, sativa, up, right?
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
Is that how it works?
Indica in the couch, that means you're going to get so stoned you won't get up. And sativa is where you want to go out and run around the block.
Oh.
That's it. That's all you got to learn.
I remember when we were younger and all the kids were in their 20s and we were sitting on the porch back in the day when we were hanging out on the Jersey Shore and you had your pot pipe. All you needed to do was order 5 pizzas and sit there and bake your brain and you didn't cause no trouble. There was no fights, nothing. Everybody was happy because you were too stoned to move. So what do we have here? He brought me a little gift.
That is probably a mixture.
A mixture. How do you open this? I can't even open it.
See, that's for the cops. We don't want to smell.
But it's illegal here in New Jersey?
Kind of.
Oh.
But you have your medical marijuana card for New Jersey, and so do I.
That was all bullshit because you had it for 4 years, then they legalized marijuana, and you paid all that money for that medical marijuana card.
Right.
Oh, Lord, that smells delicious.
That's okay?
Yes. This smells really, really good. We're not going to spark this up on the show. Oh, I wanted to put it back in the tube.
Gotcha.
It's a nice little tube that's so well wrapped.
That's the only way you can travel. Oh, well, that's 40 years of experience there.
Yes.
When they legalize it in New Jersey, I'm going to get a job as, like, you know the Indians in the old days, they used to roll tobacco in the window of tobacco shops?
Yes.
I'm going to be the hippie rolling doobies in this shop in New Jersey.
Well, you definitely got that hippie look.
That's it. That's the character we're going for. Because my son said if you're going to be on, because for 20 years I did the show, it wasn't video. About 3 years ago, I started doing it as a TV show. So my son said to me, "Dad, nothing personal, but you're boring. You got to have a character." So, and something that people can relate to. So he got me the gay bandana, so now I'm the gay bandana guy. And that's my character.
Someone's asking who's in the photo behind me. What photo?
This one?
There's a lot of them.
That one? There's a lot of surfing pictures. Are you a surfer, dude?
Yeah, I grew up surfing on the Jersey Shore.
Nice. That's
tough. So the mass majority of pictures that are around this bar are from surfing days, drinking days, partying days, and of course I got some stuff from my beach house, which hopefully one of these days we're going to make a documentary of my life on the Jersey Shore. But I also got pictures of some movies that I did and some of my friends and places and like that. And of course there's underwear in case anybody wants to buy some underwear from Mike Marino.
MikeMarino.net.
Yes.
Get on over there. I'm getting my dad a shirt when I leave here today. I'm getting him a mask. Everybody should have a Make America Italian again.
Well, we do sell them on the internet. You know, we came down here today just to chat, have some fun, see if we can't bring a smile to everybody's face. I was gracious enough. I lose my words every once in a while because I've been smoking too much. I forgot the dialogue.
You were on my show on Friday.
I was so happy to be on his show that I really wanted him to come down to the basement and experience this. That's right, Montego Bay. All that shit's from Montego Bay. One of the hottest dance clubs on the Jersey Shore. Montego Bay, Belmont, New Jersey, 1985 through 1988. It was only very short-lived. So Jerry was kind enough to come down to the basement and hang out with me and talk a little bit and have some fun. People can get Mike Marino swag, but we want to know where we can follow you and where we can see you, talk to you, and get in touch with you.
Well, I do the show every night, 10 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So after this, I'll be heading back to do that. And I I've been doing it every day since March 11th, so this is like show 140 in a row.
Oh, nice.
I post it as a podcast. The Bumpskyshow.com is the best way to find it. We're offering a virtual theater to any artist who wants to do anything artistic for free. You get to keep all the money. You sell the tickets. I don't care if you sell 1 ticket or 100 tickets. You don't have to impress me. So if you're an artist and you want to do something and you want to make money and you don't want somebody to take it away from you, just contact me and we'll hook you up.
Well, that's really, really cool. And I'd like to be on your show again.
Absolutely.
And I think I'm going to do one of the live in
From
the
the
theater,
virtual theater,
a
yeah.
virtual theater show. So I hope a lot of people out there would actually watch that. We could charge a couple of bucks, maybe make some money, have some fun,
Yep.
put some cheers in your glasses and so on and so forth.
And then I'm going to go to Cali, and we're going to do me and Mike are going to sit there and try every strain of pot on the market. And we'll just sit there for one whole show, and we'll just do everything. So get ready for that.
Wouldn't mind getting a marijuana sponsorship.
I agree. You know, I'm open for it. I actually, there's this, it's Mountain Sutton Botanical, and it's Jerry Garcia's wife. And I contacted her, and she gave me an email. She's like, email this guy, and I never heard from him. But yeah, I want Mountain Botanical. They do CBDs. They don't do pot. But CBD, another good thing, if you don't want to do anything illegal, you got aches and pains, it's pot without the high. So it's medicinal, it's great. We need to get more people smoking weed.
Yeah, that's what I think.
And less people protesting. So if we all smoked weed, we'd sit in the middle of the road and we'd hug each other.
That's
so
right.
Let's do that.
I agree with that.
All right?
Imagine a bunch of stone people protesting. Where were
Awesome.
you? I was in the house.
No, I was at the pizza place. We're all protesting at Nick's Pizza tonight.
Marco Asante writing into the show. Nice to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing great. You and I have to have a long conversation.
Sit
Hey,
down.
listen, we got to get going. I want to thank everybody for watching, listening, and having some fun with tonight's show with me, Mike Marino, live from my mother's basement, and my good friend over here, Jerry Fiore from the Bumpskey Show.com.
And the mother's basement.
In the mother's basement. You too could sponsor a Mike Marino show if you want to. All you got to do is go to MikeMarino.net. Everybody could subscribe to my show every Wednesday night. Every Wednesday you will get a newsletter from me, and you'll know where I'm going, what I'm doing, where I'm performing. If you go to MikeMarino.net and you're in Florida, you know I'm coming there this week. We're going to Vasani's Comedy Theater, July 29 through August 1st. All my social media is at Mike Marino Live, including Instagram and, of course, Facebook. And you can listen to me all the time on all my iTunes apps like iTunes, Google, Spotify, Anchor, all of that wonderful stuff. I would really appreciate it if you went there.
And let me recommend one thing to you guys out there. Go to YouTube and check out Mike. But check out, he did this interview with this guy from Verizon News. And the guy doesn't giggle, smile at all. Was he pissed off that day or something?
Oh, I
when
don't
you're in
even
front
know.
of the theater, you're in front of the theater in Jersey City.
Oh.
And the guy, Mike, is being funny as hell. And the guy doesn't giggle, laugh, or anything. I was like, boy, this guy must be pissed or something. He wanted to go home, I think.
That was a great show. No, that's a Verizon talk show. I don't think they're in business anymore, but I hope they come back to life because I enjoyed being on that show. But listen, we got to get going. Hope you guys had some fun. Remember, you could always tune in and go to all my social media at Mike Marino Live.
Peace.
Now, let's make America Italian again. Remember, you don't know nothing, you didn't see nothing, you don't say nothing. And how do I end every single one of my shows? By always saying the same thing. Say it with me. Don't take no shit from nobody. Now you got to say it. Put the mask down. Put the mask down. Ready? Don't take no shit from nobody. Good night.
Good job, dude.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying watching my podcast live from my mother's basement. We're having a lot of fun and I'm going to have a lot of great guests on the show in the future. So if you like it, hit like. You could also leave a comment. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch other funny videos. And you could also listen to my podcast on your favorite podcast app like Spotify and iTunes.